What is going on, everyone? Tim from Tirfon Orbital. Happy Monday. Hope you all are doing well. So this demo video is going to be for an install commission that I completed for a customer on an Inspira Designs ID7. So this is the ID7 from Inspira Designs. I have done a couple of these. Lucky enough to install a couple of these and actually put my hands on them. This is an absolutely phenomenal hilt. It's a very unique looking hilt, but it is also, it just has classic touches in some of the design aesthetics. It's just a really solid hilt. It's a very well designed hilt. It is a very well machined hilt. It is a great hilt all around, right? So I do want to come into Fusion and we will talk very quickly about the chassis that I designed for this. It's set up with a static chassis, and then we will come up top, do a quick demo, put a blade in it, and be on our way, right? But Inspira Designs, great company. They have a number of very unique hilt runs. The Lego hilt, I believe, is one of them that was recently dropped. I am forgetting the name of it at the moment. But yeah, just very solid products. I've been meaning to get one of these ID7s in my collection. The timing just has not been right yet, but I might be picking one up in the coming weeks, right? It's a great hilt. It's one of those hilts that is just, not only does it have a very great and unique profile as it is, it's one of those hilts that is ripe for modifications like etching and weathering, and all of that good stuff, like powder coating. So plenty of room on the inside of this. There's 28 millimeters. So from an installer standpoint, that is always a welcome thing to see that much room on the grip. So we can get a 28 millimeter speaker in there. We can get a sufficient chassis. So great hilt, right? So with all of that out of the way, let's come into Fusion and talk about the chassis. All right, so here is the chassis that I have designed for the Inspira ID7. So as I mentioned, this grip has 28 millimeters on the inside of it. So there's plenty of room to stack a board and a battery and also squeeze in some extra details, right? So for this particular chassis, I do have an OLED here. We'll start at the bottom. 28 millimeter speaker down here. I do have a trench for a 2020 NeoPixel strip. So that NeoPixel strip is here, right? I slide my 2020 strip, wire it up, slide it down this channel. I do put a strip of Mylar in front of that as well for some diffusion. Greebly work on one side. We do have an OLED here, so I wire up my OLED as well. A lot of wires coming through here. This is my wire channel for my negative battery tab, for my OLED, for my 2020 NeoPixel strip, and for my speaker. So there's a lot of wires coming up that trench here into the board compartment. All right, here is where our board lives. Okay, this is a proffieboard setup. It will slide up underneath this lip and then pull forward into these two little forks. And then on each side of the proffieboard, I do have some rectangular LEDs as well for some extra accent. Around the other side is where our kill switch lives. And then of course, here is our battery tray, okay? Now for this hilt, the switches are brass, like little brass drop-in plunger switches, right? So you've got to really make sure that you have your tolerances correct on your switch side on the chassis, okay? Otherwise, this chassis will just bump into those plungers, right? So we've got two brass hat tactile switches on each side of the chassis, and that is what that brass plunger makes a connection to, okay? But that is it. That is the chassis for the ID7. Just a very simple static chassis, right? Let's come up top. All right, so this is the first time I've tried this light bar out. We're going to see how this comes out on camera, okay? So here is the ID7. This is from Inspira Designs. Very great looking hilt, honestly, okay? We've got a lot of classic touches with the brass pins here. I also love that we get some brass pins in the pommel as well. Just a lot of heavy detailing and really great machine work that went into this hilt. We've got bunny ears up top, right? It's just a great, I love the profile of this hilt, okay? So I've already have the grip unthreaded. I'm gonna go ahead and take that off. Here is the chassis, all right? So I've done the chassis in PLA, and then I have gone over it with a mixture of pewter and black rub and buff. I like to mix those two colors because it gives me a nice dull metallic look to the chassis, okay? I have also painted some of the accents, greeblies, on the chassis itself, just to give a little bit of a contrast. And that is it, okay? I'm going to go ahead and get a battery. Never prepared with a battery, okay? So this will take, to you the customer, this will take a button top 18650 battery, okay? You want to take the flat part of your battery, that goes down towards that negative battery tab, right? So negative side is down towards the speaker. Hit my kill switch, and that will power up the hilt, right? So we have that 2020 NeoPixel strip here lit. We've got our rectangular LEDs. There is the OLED animated, okay? Tried to throw in a couple of different animations for each font, okay? You also all right. You also requested a number of specific fonts, and I was able to put those on here for you. Thank you for sending me those. So I have put those on here with custom blade styles. I have a feeling that you are new to ProffieBoard, so I'm going to do my best to kind of go over the basics of ProffieBoard navigation. I have put your config on the SD card along with all of the sound fonts that came with the ProffieBoard, as well as the fonts that you requested. Okay, so those are all on your SD card as well as the config. And that is it. So once you get your battery in, you want to thread your grip on. Now this is a little bit of a tight situation with that chassis and the grip, so you're going to feel a little bit of resistance when you're threading your grip on. That's totally normal. Okay. Okay. Alright. So there are those two brass plunger drop-in plungers that I mentioned earlier when I was talking about the chassis. So these just basically have to drop in from the inside of the hilt. So when you're sliding your chassis in, those rest directly above the brass hat tactile switches that are on the chassis itself. Okay. This chassis is held in place with a set screw as well. I forgot to mention that. Okay. Great sounding hilt. I love the way that this hilt feels. The grip is just a perfect diameter. It's just a really, really nice hilt. Now, this was sent with a couple of different glass eyes. Okay, the other brass glass eye I will put in the box for you, the customer. All right, but that also serves as your blade retention. I think that is a really nice touch to this hilt. Okay, but that is it. Let's come down to the bottom. All right, so there's another look at the ID7 from Inspira Designs. Great hilt. I love the way this hilt feels, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and put a blade in it. Okay, so to you, the customer, this will take a 1-inch NeoPixel blade, okay? So this glass eye around front will serve as your blade retention. So I'm gonna back that out, put my blade in, rest your blade on those PCB pins. You wanna try not to jam it down in there too hard. You don't wanna bend those pins. So it's resting, right? And then you want to tighten that glass eye and you are good to go. So this has been set up with twist to activate, twist to deactivate. So to turn on your hilt, you can either twist or you can push your button, all right? If you are looking at this hilt face on, the button on your left is your main, button on the right is your aux, right? So once you get your blade in, you are good to go. Okay. Let me turn my fan off before I hit something, okay? Yeah, great feeling hilt. So let's talk a little bit about ProffieBoard navigation. So typically I don't really go over this very heavily in my demo videos, but I do like to go over the basics sometimes for folks who are new to ProffieBoard sound boards. ProffieBoards, I think that they get a bad rap, right? People think that they are overly complicated, they're hard to configure, and there is a little bit of a learning curve, but I think that is with every soundboard, right? There's a learning curve with trying to learn Crystal Focus, there's a learning curve with trying to understand Golden Harvest, but when you boil it down, I think ProffieBoard is very, very simple. It's just all about editing code, right? So to you, the customer, I've put your code or your config on that SD card. When you want to edit any blade styles or add new configs to your active, lightsaber, you're going to want to edit that text file that is on your SD card, and you can do that with any text editing program. I like to use Sublime, okay? So that is how you want to point new sound fonts to your active config. That's how you change blade styles, etc. So that is all on your SD card. So let's talk a little bit about proffieboard navigation. To scroll through your fonts, to scroll forward, you want to tap that aux button, okay? To scroll backwards, to go back back a font, you want to tap that aux button while the blade is pointed down, okay? To activate your blade, just hit that main button, okay? You can deactivate by twisting. To play a theme or a sound file while the blade is parallel, you want to hold down main.
Repeat single track.
And release, okay? So that'll play whatever theme song your font is pointed to. So I have put custom blade styles on this, all right? These custom blade styles are not set up for Color Wheel. However, if you do want to access Color Wheel with one of the blade styles that you set up your board with, you want to hold down aux and tap main. You will hear an audible cue. Then you just rotate your blade to find a color that you like. This is not going to lock this color in because this is a custom blade style, okay? See, it doesn't lock that color in. I don't know that there are any on here with active Color Wheel, but let's scroll through some of these fonts. Okay. To simulate blaster bolts, you want to just tap that aux button, okay? To simulate a lockup, hold down that aux button as you clash. Okay? That's Twin Ion from Kyberphonic. That's one of those fonts that you suggested or requested.
Sure do. It's a little rusty, but I got it.
It's a speeder sound font that you requested. Another speeder bike font. Okay. Let's go through some more.
The NASA team is ready for launch.
This is my sound font. Orbital. Yeah, I love the way that this hilt feels in hand. It's a very, very solid hilt. Okay. One more. Okay. That's from Grayscale. I believe that's Coda.
Watch this.
And then we're back to the beginning. This is Piece of Junk, I think. Yeah, this is Piece of Junk from Kyberphonic. Okay. And that's with that custom Piece of Junk blade style. Probably not going to come out on camera. Okay. But that's it. That's the ID7 from Inspira Designs. Very, very awesome and great looking hilt, right? So I know I kind of blew through proffieboard navigation in this video. I don't typically go too in-depth with operating proffieboard. However, there are numerous how-to videos out there by some really great folks that will help walk you through some of the finer details of proffieboard. It is a very, very robust soundboard. It does everything that you want it to do. It will drive that OLED. It does all kinds of stuff. It's a great, great soundboard. So anyhow, to you, the customer, thank you very much for trusting me with your install and for your patience. This one has quite a journey ahead of it, so I will be getting it in the mail either today or tomorrow. If anyone has any questions about this particular install or anything really, please do not be a stranger. And with that being said, may the force be with you always. Have a good one, everybody.